This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. No Context Flair wants to know, how much did you enjoy the Clash 2 out of 3 Falls match with the Blondes? It was a personal favorite, and seldom did we see a hotter crowd during that era, perhaps with the possible exception of Starrcade 93, which of course was in Charlotte and Flair's in the main event. But Clash 2 out of 3 Falls with the Blondes, what do you remember?
Loved it. And those guys worked their ass off, and they were such a good team. And, you know, from the imaginary movie camera that they would roll in your face after they flattened you, you know, those guys, they got it. They figured it out. And they loved being partners as much as Rick and I enjoyed being partners. It was one of those scenarios that just comes along occasionally. Both teams on the same page, and we're both had the same mindset. You know, we were going to get them over, they were going to get us over. And ultimately the audience was going to have something they could sink their teeth into and enjoy. And we had enough time to get it done. It was really one of my favorite tag matches of my career.
Let's also recommend the 2 out of 3 falls you did with the Rockers in the WWF. You thought that was one of your favorites as well. What was it about 2 out of 3 falls that really worked for you?
Well, because you could have the drama of either team was put behind the 8 ball after they lost that first fall. If you lost the second one, this thing was going to be over. And getting beat 2 straight in a 2 out of 3 falls was a pretty dominant scenario. But then if it went to 1-1, you had to have that tiebreaker. The drama went up to a different level. And, you know, the Rockers was a totally different match because they had a different skill set, you know, than the Blondes. Totally different. And the match was totally different. And, you know, I just enjoyed the fact that in those days, the audience understood, okay, first fall goes to Team X. All right. That other team was immediately in a pressure position to have to catch that second fall. So the built-in drama was just there and everyone understood it. And then you would have that next fall. And if it went 1-1, you could feel it go up to a different level in the arena. And because everybody understood what was at stake, it was just a cool setting.
Let's do, and this is something that we haven't really addressed before, but I don't know that me and you've ever talked about it even off air. David Williams brings a great point that I do need to bring up to you. He says, "Sir, I never saw much of your work as the NWA was hard to find in the UK. Can you suggest 3 of your 3 personal favorite matches that I should hunt down on the WWE network?" We get that a lot, and I get this question a lot too. Why do you guys cover so much modern WWE? Well, we're in the business of downloads, and whenever we do an old Jim Crockett topic, while me and you and Arn love it, it doesn't get near the downloads as when we talk about modern WWE. So we're here to sell ads, and we're here to, you know, create content for as many people as possible. And that means we're going to go where the hits are. And right now the hits are more modern WWE. So we do get some of this Jim Crockett stuff through this every other week hashtag Ask Arn Anything. And of course we watch a lot of the old WCW and Crockett stuff on adfreeshows.com. But one of the other reasons is whenever I would go over to the UK with Bruce or JR or whoever, inevitably people would say, well, I didn't get to watch much WCW, or I never saw much NWA, because it just wasn't as readily available there as it was here on the Superstation. So if you had to recommend 3 Arn Anderson matches to David Williams, what would you recommend he check out?
Okay. How about Larry Zbyszko and myself, wrestling Dustin Rhodes and his mystery partner with the dragon head, which would be Ricky Steamboat, as it was revealed. I think Larry was at his very best. And I think that crowd in Savannah was really shocked and entertained by the fact that Steamboat was underneath there, which no one in the building knew about. I enjoyed probably wrestling when I first came back from the WWF to WCW. I enjoyed wrestling Muta for the television title, even though I was miscast as the babyface. It was just, he was hot at the time, and he had Buzz Sawyer and the Dragon Master with him ringside. A lot of drama, a lot of odds to overcome. And maybe Tully and I against the Rockers.
That's a hard list to beat right there. Joshua says, I'm a fan that hasn't watched a lot of old school stuff and don't really know where to start. What's the best match you would recommend for the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, or the Freebirds? That's a fun one. You know, we've often talked about your stuff, but do you have a favorite rock and roll match or a favorite midnight match?
Well, those guys against each other were incredible. I mean, nothing's going to top that. I think the Freebirds and the Von Erichs is epic if you were from that area. Any match that the Rock and Roll Express are in, they're going to make it exciting. I would suggest when they beat the Russians for the tag titles.
Yes.
My God, can you imagine being in that arena, not knowing who Ricky and Robert were? Just, who are these guys? They're too small. Look at those animals. Ivan, Nikita, Crusher Khrushchev. What a mismatch. There's beating the odds, but that's ridiculous. And they did. And everybody bought it, and everybody believed in it. I would imagine the Freebirds, when they shot that angle with Ted DiBiase in Georgia, was one of the more credible, believable angles for its time. And I know that there were people, you know, blowing up the switchboard to see how bad Ted DiBiase was hurt. If you go back and check that angle out, that was Georgia Championship Wrestling. Not sure of the year, but it was a major angle, and those guys got a ton of heat off of it.
My favorite midnight match, not that anybody asked me, but I think it's underrated, and I'm going to beat the drum forever. It's Great American Bash 1990 against the Wild Eyed Southern Boys, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong. My goodness, what a match.
Well, yeah, those guys were quality workers. You know, all the Armstrongs were good workers. Tracy Smothers had a lot of fire, very talented, and being in the South, it just worked.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.